Hey guys, Carl Allen back with another episode of the Creative Dealmaker Podcast. Got a very special guest today. It's Jim Helms, probably one of my best students. He's done some incredible stuff inside of the program, so much so he's now also a coach and a team leader and somebody that I depend on very, very much inside of this community. So Jim Helms, a very warm welcome to the show. How are you doing?
A very warm welcome to the Creative Dealmaker Podcast. I'm Carl Allen, I'm your host, and I'm going to be interviewing expert guests sharing investor strategies that will completely and utterly disrupt the market when it comes to buying and selling businesses all over the world.
He trusted you more than the financial markets, right?
That's right.
Which means you had massive rapport and credibility established with him. That know, like, and trust factor was just maxed out.
Yeah.
And that's a really critical point, I think, that a lot of people miss on annuity structures. Because as we get into these other deals, what I've found is it become almost like a brainstorming session with the seller of how to sell it to me. They decided they wanted to sell it to me, and we just had to agree on the price and terms, which made that process so much easier than
and
going down the concept initially, right?
Yeah, you know why that's so powerful, right? And it's true. And I didn't realize this until I was in my 30s, right? So as you know, I worked on Wall Street. So I was doing like big M&A deals where those deals, it's about math, it's about tax structures, it's about legal structures, it's financial engineering. That's what Wall Street's all about. So when I left Wall Street and decided to buy small deals, like $1 to $10 million deals, what blew my mind, Jim, was how much more Main Street deals are about seller psychology than they are about numbers. That's why I wrote the book, The Creative Dealmaker, right? So I wrote that book because it tells the story of a deal with all the drama and the emotion and the psychology that buyers and sellers go through. And what I realized, my very first deal out of Wall Street, I bought a transportation company, like $5 million deal. The owner didn't really care that much about the money, right? All they cared about was the buyer. They wanted somebody that they could trust, that their business was going to be in safe hands. And a lot of the deals I've done since, I've done hundreds and hundreds of deals since I left Wall Street. And more often than not, it's all about the buyer, right? Because a seller, typically, they might have been in that business 10, 20, 30 years. They spent more time in their business than they have with their own family. And I suppose it's like sending your kids off to college. Like, you want to know they're going to be okay, right? You don't want to have to worry about them. You want to cheer them on from the sidelines. And I find a lot of that in a lot of these small business acquisitions. So to your point, if you can build like really strong relationships and rapport with these people and truly position yourself as a safe pair of hands to take the business to the next level, because the seller either doesn't have the energy or the heart or just the time to do it themselves. They'd rather sell to somebody like us in a creative way than to a private equity fund or a trade buyer that's likely going to rip the business apart, right?
Yeah. And a real quick story about that. This was a broker listing, and I made him an offer over a year and a half ago. And I used a multi-tier offer with the lower multiple with the SBA, and then kind of a hybrid, and then the annuity. And he wanted the annuity multiple, but he wanted all cash like the SBA. And we've kept in touch. And I actually took him out fishing, and he's standing on my boat when we're out fishing, and shared with me that Benchmark set the expectation with him that they would get him a 9 to 11x multiple by selling it to a strategic trade buyer. And I scoffed at that and explained why. And he said, "Oh, you're right. You've been absolutely right about everything throughout that entire process.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to sell my business to you, but I figured if I'm only going to get a 2 or 3x multiple, I might as well just keep it. I'm working 20 hours a week, and I'll keep it another 4 or 5 years, and then I'll sell it to you."
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I would do the same thing in your shoes. Right? He's my age. He doesn't need to retire. So
if he's working on the business and not in the business, so if he's only doing 20 hours a week and he's got a team that's taking care of everything else, that's actually a smart play, especially if the business can grow, because not only is he getting the distributions from the cash flow every year, he's building that shareholder value for when it becomes time to sell it in the future, right?
Yeah.